Hey everybody, hope everyone's doing good and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking out my channel, subscribing. Subscribe if you haven't, give it a thumbs up or thumbs down if you don't like it, or let me know your comments and dialogue as always. So I think it's great. So I want to do a brief video because we got an election rather coming up in a few days. I think it's like 9 or 10 days here in the United States of America. I don't know. It's I try not to follow politics, but I've been following it the past few years, and it's hard not to sometimes, especially as I get older. But what I thought would be interesting is I'm like, I don't even know who to vote for this year. So to be honest, and I'm not a fan of either person, and I'll explain why in a moment. But I thought, you know what? God, why not just ask? Like, I could ask anybody in the afterlife for guidance, especially like, say, your spiritual guides or your angels or your dead relatives or friends. Anybody you want who's over there has access to a much greater degree of information than we have down here. And I was like, well, here we go. So I thought I'd give it a try. Now, real quick, and I wanted to make sure, I asked several times because I don't always hear stuff sometimes, and sometimes when I do, it's like there's energetic interference, which is a real thing that makes it hard to hear, or you hear only bits and parts of certain words, or you don't hear it loud and clear. That's what I call energetic interference. Or you may hear one clear answer one way and then another clear answer that's completely the opposite. So it's confusing sometimes to be able to put yourself in a state to receive the right answer. So I wanted to make sure I heard this loud and clear, hopefully. But I thought it was a fun question to pose as well. And I actually thought, I thought about this too. So I thought maybe this is a good starting point. I thought, you know what? I'm so fed up with both candidates right now and both parties to one degree or another. And I just thought, maybe I'm just not going to vote at all. Like, really, and is that a bad thing to not vote at all? And I thought about that for a while, and I came to the conclusion, yes, it is. So this is just my own personal analysis or belief, but I figured, so whoever you vote into power, right, there are going to be some things that are good. It's inevitable. No administration is perfect. Some are going to make mistakes, do the wrong thing, others the right thing. So it's really, who are you voting for to do the right thing? And one party is just going to do better than the other. And we have to rely on the information that's given to us as far as policies and expectations. And I'll get to that in a minute too, because that's a load of crap too, as far as like who to trust, as this information is, given to us. But I figured no matter what, one of the parties is going to be just better for the country. The country. I'm not voting for the individual. I'm voting for the party in general and the direction that it'll take us as a country here in the United States over the next 4 years, hopefully. And of course, this is considering things could change too. Maybe you vote for the better party and then they just start screwing up, or vice versa. You vote for the worst party and they do a great job. Who knows? But at least for the moment, you can make, hopefully, a relatively measured guess as far as who's going to do the best. So I decided, you know what? It's better, as long as you vote, like, something is better than nothing. Like, to vote for who you think is going to be the better party for the next few years, for the betterment of our country, I think is the best way to approach it. And that's really how, people do it anyways. So, but I just kind of came to the conclusion, you know what? It's either you do nothing or you put your voice out there for something, and the best possible something that you believe in. So my answer simply is yes versus no. So I'm going to vote, but I got really frustrated. And part of the reason too, it's like, you want to, and I try to see through party lines and understand things from both angles. And it's never going to be a perfect black or white answer for every single nuance of every single issue. And things change too; they're in flux a lot. So we kind of have to. It'd be nice if we could see both main parties, Democrat and Republican, for the ideas they put forth, what they disagree on, and how we can come to a solution versus them just bickering back and forth over the last few years anyways. It seems like increasingly more and more about who's right, and then worse yet, lying and spinning to get their point through and taking advantage of, or disinformation or withholding information, just all of the above to rally their voter bases in different pockets here and there, regardless of the harm it does. So the Democrats have done this with identity politics, and the Republicans have done this with just lies and half truths and spinning stats and things like. They're both guilty. They're both guilty, and it's dangerous, I think, because when you believe you're the one that's right, you're willing to sacrifice the truth in order to win. We should all be focused on the truth, and we're never always going to agree on it, but there's a best solution forward, and it should never be at the integrity of the truth. And that's what I believe. And it's gotten so messy over the past few years. It's hard to vote for either one of them, and I really had to take myself away from either candidate because I'm not a fan. So let's start there. Okay, so, and I don't want to get into the individual issues because then this video may take, or maybe we'll do that in another video. Then it'll be like a 10-hour video. So, like Trump, for example, there's better options than Trump. We're talking about a one-person candidate for an entire party, and he just lies all the time, and he has, believe it or not, I believe he makes some good points, and on some issues he's actually right, but on others he's wrong, and he's too divisive, and he separates people, and I feel like sometimes Republicans do that purposefully to get emotions involved and kind of excite your voter base, especially more near election. But even if it's not during election time only, if it's throughout his presidency, which it was last time, this constant level of lying and spinning and things like that has an impact. Then you don't know what to believe, and plus, you're disingenuous, or you have no integrity, and then your bad decisions become more apparent versus than anything good you may have done. And it's not a good character trait to have, to just lie, even over the little stuff. Just make stuff up, and it is so frustrating. So a leader needs to be truthful and well-spoken and considerate and intelligent and have integrity and project strength for our country, okay? And he just doesn't do that. And he's just not a good candidate. He's just not right for the job. But there are certain things with the party I agree with from a Republican stand. Not everything, but it's same with the Democratic side too. So, and then, of course, with Kamala Harris, or Kamala, I just did a video on this. Well, whatever. It's one of the two. So, she is not a fit leader either. Her or Trump are not good candidates. And I'm just kind of beside myself. I don't know. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I don't. Neither one of them. Their policies may be good as a person and as a leader with qualities of power, and like Trump projects more power and confidence in her, but he's a liar, and he doesn't and he attacks people versus, like, he's very quick to attack people's reputations or make up lies and things like that. And that's more of a bully than having proper confidence. Now, which clearly I disagree with, but with Kamala Harris, is it Kamala or Kamala? God. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to remember what's the right way to say it. I did a whole video on this. It's kind of funny. I usually say Kamala. That's what I usually say. Okay, and I think she says it's supposed to be Kamala. Well, whatever. Okay. Anyways, before I get off point, so I just don't think she's fit for the job. And you can kind of see this because the poll numbers are evening out. Two people are losing confidence in her, and this is probably why she hasn't done too many interviews. But like for a little while, I was a little bit skeptical initially when she replaced Biden as the candidate for the Democratic Party. But as things progressed, I became more and more. It was so off-putting. She doesn't have any power or confidence. She doesn't carry herself as a leader with charisma or power or confidence. She laughs at inopportune times, and there's so many clips out there of this. She doesn't carry herself well or with poise. So, and I'm not saying she's not an intelligent person. She's had jobs that require intelligence, but the job of the President of the United States of America is a different job, a whole new job with a whole new set of expectations. And I think to be a good leader, you need to be intelligent as well as you got to know how to talk and present yourself, because this could also be a reflection of your inability to execute intelligence when need be, proper decisions or have the proper people in place to help you make the right decisions. So she laughs the way she laughs at certain points in certain conversations, and it's very cringe. She doesn't answer questions. I was excited to see her town hall the other day, and she didn't answer anything. Even CNN is kind of picking her apart, which is surprising, but not surprising. But CNN tends to lean more left. But they did a good job analyzing this, breaking it down. She brought nothing to the table as far as more confidence or questions about who she's going to be as a leader. What's so frustrating to me about her, like with Donald Trump, it's the lies and the spins and the bullying and unnecessary bravado. It's just ridiculous. With her, it's the inability to answer anything and to laugh or seem nervous when she doesn't know what she's talking about, and to repeat things that are just like irrelevant sometimes. Like she falls back, and I get it because she's pandering to certain voter bases and demographics to get them excited, but she's not doing it well, and she's not doing it at the right times. And it seems repetitious and disingenuous and scripted. And not only that, but it conveys a lack of ability to even have an interview. She didn't answer anything during the CNN town hall last week. And when asked questions point blank, she would give these long worded, she's known for her word salads. Some of the videos are kind of funny, but like she gave non-answers. And it's really frustrating because people have been asking these questions and we're still not getting answers. So you're starting to see the polls even out. And one of the biggest things, too, that I had an issue with her recently was, not recently, but when she first announced herself as a candidate, her first appearance on the campaign trail, I think it was in Georgia. This is what started to turn me off the most, believe it or not, but she had Megan Thee Stallion there, and people were dressed like, well, hell, they were dressed like prostitutes or whores, okay? They had like really short skirts on, and the way they were very vulgar and very suggestive, too adult. And the songs they were singing in the background, she had like 2 or 3 songs. I'm not familiar with her. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of music. I love rap, but I don't like stuff that's too vulgar. And I Googled these songs, and Jesus Christ, you should hear the lyrics. And she was singing them on stage too. And it's like they were completely sexual in nature. And I was like, this is who you have as your opening performance, your performer at your first. And then she came out on stage and she started talking. And I was like, dang, like here you are, and it's supposed to be a big deal that you are the first woman, other than Hillary Clinton, to really be this close to winning the presidency for the first time ever. And of course, there's a big deal because she's the first woman of color. Biracial, by the way, so black and Indian, someone can be both. There's like a whole argument about that, but it's like if you've got big shoes. This is a big role and a big opportunity to be the first ever in different categories. And if you're going to be this person, carry yourself with some class and have some decorum and bring some intelligence and a sense of maturity to the highest office in the land, unquestionably one of the most powerful jobs on planet Earth. You know, do, do you want, like, I mean, can you imagine if your kids were there or your 5-year-old daughter was there and they saw them dressed like that and then singing those rap lyrics and oh, this is the first woman president of the United States. Have some class, for Christ's sake. That really turned me off. And it was just such a lowbrow way to kick off your campaign. That really set me off in the wrong direction, believe it or not. And if you think about it, there's no argument against that. Present yourself properly, period. She doesn't do that. Trump doesn't do that. I could go on for him for a long time. Before I start talking too much. Oh, that's right. Okay, so what I did was I asked the question, right, about I tried to channel or have this conversation and ask my guys and et cetera, about, okay, if I have to vote, who would be the best vote? I honestly didn't know. I was kind of right in the middle as far as policies and which would be better or worse for the country. And the answer was, and I got it over and over, was to vote for the Democrats, to vote for that party. They have the best set of policies and platforms, at least for the moment, and people in place. I told them to consider everything. I was like, look, you guys, consider everything. And they do. I would expect nothing less from a guide or an angel or anything like that. But I was like, make sure you consider everything. The person, the party, the politics, keywords being who's better for the country. I'm not talking about, I just mean whoever I vote for as a representative of the next 4 years. I'm not voting for her. I'm not voting for him. I'm voting for who's going to guide us holistically. Consider everybody in power in both parties and where they're at, how they work together, and the ones that don't. Policies. I said consider it all. And that was the answer again, was simply vote for the Democrats. So she would be the better of the two candidates. So I was like, interesting. And it kind of makes sense because then we had some conversations and I was asking about, and I think part of the reason, and this does make sense too, kind of like I mentioned earlier, Trump is very divisive and tends to inflate or over-exaggerate or just make things up. He just lies. He just makes things up for whatever reason. Even if there's no need to, he just lies. But when he takes, words matter. Words matter when you're the president. Okay, so, and when you start taking issues, so, and then start firing people up by using certain words, even if it's a good issue that they may have some good traction on, the Republicans or the Democrats or them working together, they can tend to divide people based on the words they use and how they approach the issue. That's very important. And then you start dividing people too, also even within your own party. We've seen that too in the Republican Party. And like I was saying, if this sort of speech or incendiary speech continues throughout a presidency, you'll do nothing but continue to divide, create more and more tribes in the country and in politics and at different levels of government, to where it can do short-term and long-term damage. That can be fixed or corrected, but it's just not worth going through, So, and the more damage you create during those 4 years, it's not, like I was saying, it's not just during the campaign trail. So anyways, that's part of the reason I think is he's much more, well, so are the Democrats too with their identity politics, but Trump just seems to have a bigger impact on the divisive nature of how he presents himself and what he says. They're both bad choices. Okay, so, and both parties I think have a lot of fixing to do, and I think we could be in a better spot But as far as this election cycle, I found this interesting, and I thought I just wanted to share it and put it out there. So anyway, so that's kind of the answer I had in the conversations and communications I try to have. So for what it's worth, I'm still not happy with having to vote at all, to be honest. But like I said, I believe something is better than nothing, and I think they're both way off base in some things, but they're both on point. But I've still got 8 or 9 days to give it some serious thought before I vote. But I have a pretty good feeling I'm going to be voting Democrat. So anyways, so thank you for watching, and much appreciated. I didn't mean for this to be so long. I wanted it to be like 5 minutes. I could probably just like go on about politics forever, but so that was longer than I wanted. But again, appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and take care, and we'll see you later.